They called him a terrific guy. Even after the world saw exactly who he really was, Jeffrey Epstein wasn't just a billionaire with secrets. He was the architect of one of the darkest scandals in modern history, surrounded by money, power, and people who claim they didn't know. But one name keeps circling back, louder than the rest: Donald Trump. What really went on behind the scenes? And why are so many parts of the story still hidden? Let's start with the mask Epstein wore so well. He owned not one, but two private islands. He flew in celebrities, academics, and politicians like it was all part of some high society fairy tale. A New York Magazine article from 2002 described him as Gatsby-esque, charming, rich, and elusive. But the illusion didn't hold up forever, because behind that polished smile was a disturbing obsession, one that didn't just stay private. In 2014, Epstein casually mentioned he'd consider marrying Selena Dubin, a 19-year-old. But this wasn't just any young woman. She was the daughter of Eva Dubin, Epstein's former girlfriend. Selena and Epstein weren't even dating, yet he said this out loud. Creepy barely begins to describe it. Eva and Epstein had been together for over a decade. Even years later, she still allowed her children to be around him. They called him Uncle F. The disturbing part? This wasn't just a one-off incident, it was part of a much bigger pattern. Then there was Ghislaine Maxwell. She dated Epstein in the 90s, but never really left his side. According to one ex, Ghislaine would casually say she still shared his bed long after they were over. Another described her obsession with Epstein as an eerie mirror of her devotion to her father, constantly trying to earn his approval, always one favor away from a proposal that never came. But her loyalty turned criminal. After Epstein's death, Maxwell was arrested in 2020 for helping him exploit underage girls. She was eventually convicted on multiple charges and sentenced to 20 years behind bars. During sentencing, she said, "It is not about Epstein ultimately. It is for me to be sentenced." For many victims, that line stung. It sounded like she still didn't get it. Epstein had a type: young, blonde, and vulnerable. His mansion reportedly displayed photos of actresses like Morgan Fairchild. He often surrounded himself with women barely out of high school. Some were even paid to recruit others. One attorney representing survivors described it as a trafficking ring disguised as elite society. The manipulation ran deep, emotionally, financially, and psychologically. And then there's the mystery man who always showed up smiling next to Epstein: Donald Trump. Their friendship wasn't casual. It went back decades. They partied together in Palm Beach, dined at Epstein's Manhattan mansion. Photographed, quoted, filmed. In 2002, Trump told New York Magazine, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with." Then came the line that never stopped haunting him: "He likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." One NBC clip from 1992 shows them laughing at Mar-a-Lago, pointing at women on the dance floor like it was a game. That same year, Trump reportedly hosted a calendar girl contest where the only guests were him and Epstein. Just the two of them, plus 28 girls flown in for the event. And then came the infamous line from Trump himself, years later: "I'm the owner of the pageant, so I'm allowed to go backstage while the girls are dressing." He said it on camera like it was a brag, but by 2004, something shifted. Trump and Epstein were suddenly competing over real estate in Palm Beach. Sources say they became rivals. The cheerful public appearances stopped. And by the time Epstein was arrested in 2019, Trump claimed they had a falling out a long time ago. He told reporters he wasn't a fan. He also claimed he never flew on Epstein's private jet, never visited the island, never had anything to do with Epstein's other life. But the flight logs say otherwise. Trump reportedly flew with Epstein 7 times. That's not just a coincidence, it's a pattern. Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's most high-profile survivors, said she was recruited while working at Trump's Mar-a-Lago. Her story ends in tragedy. She took her own life in 2025. Then there's former model Stacey Williams, who said Epstein once brought her to Trump's Fifth Avenue penthouse. She alleged that Trump groped her, describing it as a twisted game orchestrated by Epstein. Trump denies it ever happened, but the most chilling details came from secret tapes, recordings made by journalist Michael Wolff in 2017. In them, Epstein claims he was Trump's closest friend for 10 years. He describes Trump as isolated, impulsive, barely literate, and constantly chasing validation. One of the most shocking quotes? Epstein claimed Trump once said, "The only thing I really like to do is wives of my best friends." If Epstein is telling the truth, that quote alone should have made headlines for years. But instead, it vanished into the chaos of the news cycle. Trump's campaign responded swiftly. His former press secretary called the tapes fake and accused Wolff of trying to sabotage the election. The usual script: deny, discredit, move on. But even now, the Epstein files remain sealed. No client list. No full disclosure. Just rumors, denials, and redacted documents. Trump recently said he'd consider declassifying the files. But in the same breath, he added that a lot of phony stuff might be in there. The contradiction is hard to ignore. So here's the question no one wants to answer. If one of the most powerful predators in the world was hiding in plain sight for decades, how many people helped cover for him? And how many of them are still walking free? The public deserves more than silence. Because behind every denial is a truth still waiting to be told.